Hello, welcome to Open Oven. My name is Mike Smith. We have a different recipe today. I haven't tried this recipe a whole lot. I'm going to try a little different variation today. We're going to make ratatouille. No, it does not have rat in it. If you can remember the movie, for those of you who are old enough to remember the movie is probably the reason some kids would have tried this dish. So traditionally a vegetarian dish, and that's how we're going to make it today. And so we have, basic ingredients. You've got 2 zucchinis, you've got an eggplant. We're going to use onion. We're going to use a tiny bit of carrot that we're going to use in the sauce. We have some crushed tomatoes or stewed tomatoes. We've got a little bit of fresh tomatoes we're going to use once we make the dish. And so for those of you who are unfamiliar, really easy to make. Can put the whole thing together in less than 20 minutes, and then you've got some cooking time beyond that. But as far as the prep go, it's really simple. So I'm just going to move that aside for a second and grab that onion. What I'm going to do is we are using our ceramic plate again for this meal. I'm going to get it hot. We're going to put a couple of teaspoons of oil in there. Get that nice and hot, and we're going to start it off with some onion. This is just going to be starting the sauce, so we're just going to use some onion for flavor. Cut it pretty thin. We're going to get that sauteing in that oil. That should be enough. That's about, so far it's just about a quarter of a big onion. All right. Remember, when you're cutting onions or using spices, make sure you're not then touching your eyes or your face, especially while you're doing a cooking show and you've got to be here for a few minutes. Kind of embarrassing if I was crying on set. So I always like to wipe my hands quick if I'm even using onions. I'm kind of a wimp when it comes to onions, and if you watch the show, I'm a wimp when it comes to spicy stuff too, so I'm really careful. So we're going to use a little bit of carrot. Where did I put my carrot? I'll just grab one back here. And we're going to grate a little bit of that carrot. Actually, I'll peel that first. Take some of that outside. If you don't have a slicer, if you notice, I'm just taking the edge of the knife and just shaving it. Works just as much. That way you're not losing quite as much of the carrot if I was trying to slice this pretty small carrot, right? Works pretty good. If you've watched the show before, you remember me saying I'm not a great slicer, using those apple slicers or vegetable slicers. For whatever reason, I'm not very good at it. So just gonna get that onion moving around in the oil. And again, this is just basically going to be used in that sauce just to add some flavors to the sauce. I'm going to grate some of that carrot in there. Give it a little bit of, just a little bit of different color. This dish is going to be full of color. You know, you have the purple of the eggplant and the green of the zucchini, the red of the tomatoes. So that should do. Let that sizzle a little bit. See if I've got some garlic here. All right, well, we're going to skip garlic. We'll add that at the next stage. All right. Here. All right, that's getting there. Just again, you just get a little bit of the beginnings of that caramelized onion here. I'll give you a good look at that. And we're going to add our tomatoes at this stage. And again, this is going to be the base of our sauce. I'm going to turn that down a bit. You don't need to have to be real hot now. All right. And then we're going to add some spices. Put a little bit of salt in there. Some black pepper. I use black pepper in pretty much everything instead of that plain pepper. That up nicely. And again, if you're not familiar with ratatouille, ratatouille is a vegetable dish. You've got, like I said, some prep involved, but other than that, it's, you know, sit back, read a book, and wait for it to bake. We're going to create the sauce, and then I'm going to show you how we're going to kind of create our casserole or our dish, and then we'll pop it into the oven once it's ready to go. Obviously, a French dish, ratatouille, certainly sounds French. And again, I think it really became more of a famous dish after the movie Ratatouille came out, which was interesting because it certainly has nothing to do with rats. And we'll just let that stew a little bit. When we come back from the break, we'll move on and we'll start showing you what we're going to do with the vegetables. All right, welcome back. And our sauce is nicely going. Found us some garlic. So we're going to add the garlic at this stage so we can let that soak in a little bit. Just going to kind of cut that in half and get the skin off. I'm going to grate a little garlic in there. If you've ever used these things, I use this all the time. Often with the garlic, it won't, it's so wet that it basically sticks on the inside. So you just pull it out. Inside, outside. Boom. Wipe my hands again, and it's kind of bubbling. Looks really good. And then I'll just mix that garlic into there. That was. And if you're a garlic person, you could put certainly a whole clove or even a couple of cloves if you want it to be a much stronger garlic. Same as pepper, same as any type of flavor you wanted to add to this. You can really, there's really no end to seasoning. I'm going to put a little more pepper in there though, for sure. All right. All right, so we're just going to let that simmer slowly. And so what ratatouille is, basically you're going to end up having a dish, a casserole dish of some kind. We're going to put that sauce. You could use a much larger one. We've certainly got enough sauce here that we could have a bigger one, but we're going to cook one this size. You're going to cover the bottom of the pan about halfway up with sauce, and then you're going to add our ingredients. So let's get to what we need to do. We're going to slice up our eggplant and our zucchini. These are all washed, and our tomato. The most important thing is they need to be similar size. So I'll give you an example. We don't want a tomato that's so thin that it's not going to stand up or it's going to be soggy in no time. So if I cut my tomato that thickness, then we want to try to match that with our other ingredients. So I'm just going to grab a, yeah, let's go, I can use this one. We'll put it in there at the end, but I'm going to move this over. Whoops, give me my tomato, the garlic out of there. And we're going to try to cut the rest, almost everything else, similar thickness. Only because this is going to end up being baked. And so you want everything to kind of bake evenly. I'm going to do my best to try to get them similar sized. Throw that little end piece away. Just give that sauce another little stir. That's looking pretty fantastic. Great smell coming out of that too. If you wanted to put in any type of sauce, you could even put Parmesan, Parmesan cheese powder if you wanted to, oregano, really any type of spice or herb that you wanted to add to it. All right. So there's our tomato. We'll do the same thing. You could peel the eggplant. The nice part about not peeling it is that we get to keep that purple color, and it's going to look really cool in the dish. So I'm going to take the ends off. I'm going to try to slice that about the same thickness as we did our tomato. And about the same amount, right? We're gonna, like I told you, we're gonna be filling a regular sized dish, not a large dish. So maybe finish that. Like I said, this recipe calls for 1 eggplant. And then the zucchini, probably, I have 2, but probably 1 is enough. Again, similar size. Pretty important to try to get these in the same size. For instance, if you cut one like that, and everything else is a lot thicker, that's going to just cook way different than the rest of it. So, although it's not a difficult meal to make, this part is kind of important. That's probably enough for the size dish that we have. So we'll just finish this 1 zucchini. All right. All right. So there you have it. That is our tomato, our eggplant, and our zucchini. So what we're going to end up doing right after the break is we're going to put this together. I'll show you kind of how you do that carefully, and then we're going to talk about some things that you can add to this meal. This can be a main dish, it can be a side dish, depending on how you want to treat it, but it should come out wonderful. Fresh ingredients are the best. We have nice fresh tomatoes. You want them firm, same as the zucchini. Nice and firm, fresh is the best way to go. We'll be right back after this break and we'll put it all together. All right, and we're back. So we're going to finish up and get our ratatouille going here. All right, what we're going to do is we're going to put some of this in the bottom of the pan. Spread that out nicely. Should probably take all of it. All right. Just going to let that cool for a second so I can kind of put some veggies in there. Before we get to that, one of the things you can use as an add-on is This is a French meal. You could use French bread, you could use a croissant, you could use whatever you want to. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to heat up some butter. So let's do that as a toast. And that'll just melt that butter up quick because we're going to make ourselves some garlic cheese bread. I'm just going to cut up a little bit of piece of garlic. We're going to stick a couple in that butter. Give that 3 minutes or so to heat up with the garlic, and we'll move on. All right, so what you're going to basically do is you're going to place these alternating into the sauce. And you're going to stand it up just like I am. All right, so I have zucchini, tomato, eggplant. And you should be able to stand it up because the sauce is thick enough. And then it's going to bake like that. So I'll finish up this row, and then we'll just make another row. All right. Zucchini. We'll do zucchini, eggplant, tomato this time. Zucchini, eggplant, and then our tomato. Zucchini, eggplant. We should have just the perfect amount. Zucchini, eggplant, and tomato. All right. Pretty cool looking dish. I've got some extra here. I don't want to waste it. So we'll stick some more in on the corners. Put a couple in the middle. Put some on the side. And we're going to end up baking that. Let me get that butter out of there. That is more than hot enough. And then we're going to preheat our oven to 350. So we're going to go to bake. And it's going to take 30 minutes or so once we get to that. All right. And so if you had any, we used up pretty much most of the sauce, but I'm just going to spread whatever's left in the pan here. And then just before you put it in, not a bad idea if you want a little bit of crispness, and I'm going to do this the old-fashioned way. I'm going to put a little bit of either olive oil is what I would prefer. This is sunflower oil, and I'm just going to dust the tops. That's the oven, I think, telling us that we're ready to go. Yeah, add food. Just open that so that it keeps going. And I'm going to just top the tops of the zucchini and the eggplant. That'll give it, when it comes out, it'll give it a little bit of crispness. Just a little less stick going on. All right. Let me just wipe my hands here. And yeah, that looks yummy. I'm a meat eater, but this looks fantastic. I'll take a shot of that. That's what ratatouille is supposed to look like. All right, remember I mentioned that we had our garlic. I've heated that butter up with some butter, heated it up with the garlic in it. So as an addition, I could take my bread. If you want to keep it fancy, you could use French bread. Just buy yourself a full loaf, kind of break it, and then when this comes out of the oven and this is baked, you can use it to dip. It's a fantastic addition. I like to make, as if you've watched the show, you've seen that I like to make kind of homemade garlic bread. And then we're going to make a little addition here. We would take some grated cheese. And we'll carefully put that on there. Spread that out. And then we would be able to pop that in the toaster and make ourselves some garlic bread with cheese top, garlic cheese toast. So simple, again, ratatouille, vegetables. There are some variations of this, but I would suggest that we do that. You're gonna take it, pop it into the oven. You're gonna cook for about 30 minutes at 350. And when that comes out, it'll be perfect. It won't look a whole lot different than what we just put in the oven. It'll just be cooked. And then I could also, when I get down to that last minute or two, I would pop my garlic toast in on the top level. So I hope you enjoy ratatouille. Give it a try. And thank you for joining us on Open Oven. My name is Mike Smith. Thank you.